Welcome to our tutorial about the Extrude command. Let's begin by taking a home view. Now first, let's create a profile that we will subsequently extrude. I'm going to use the line tool. The dimensions aren't really important at this time. Let me toggle ortho on and create a profile. And let's right-click and select Close. Now, even though I opted to close this profile, it is in fact comprised of unique segments. When I mouse over the segments, they're highlighted one at a time. In other words, I don't have a truly closed profile. Let's activate the Extrude command. Window select my lines. Right-click to finish the selection. And right-click and enter to execute the command. Now let's specify the height of the extrusion. Let's say 5 units and press enter. Rather than a solid, what I've ended up with here are surfaces. Let's switch to realistic view. Now we can see it a little bit better. Okay, let's restore 2D wireframe. We're going to be learning more about surfaces later on in this volume. For now, let me just explain that surfaces have a 0 thickness or no thickness. So imagine you had a cube and you covered it with aluminum foil. The cube's your solid and the foil covering is the surface. Whereas the foil in my analogy has some thickness, albeit small, a surface has 0 thickness. Another way to consider it that might make sense is to think of it as just a representation of the faces. Let's window select and delete our extrusion. The reason we ended up with the surfaces is because our profile was open. In order to create a solid, we need a closed profile. Let's activate the Edit Polyline tool on the Modify panel. Now right-click and scroll to Multiple. Make a window selection right to left in my geometry. Right-click to finish the selection. Convert lines and arcs, etc. to Polyline, yes. And let's select the Join option. Since our lines have a coincident point, the fuzz distance I can input at 0. Press Enter, and press Escape to close the tool. Now we've got a closed profile. Let's activate the Extrude command again. I'm going to select the profile. Now right-click and enter to finish the selection. Next, we specify the height of the extrusion, let's say 3 units. Enter to accept. And here we have our first extruded solid. Okay, let's learn how to do this in a slightly different way. Let's activate the line tool again, create our profile. Right-click and close. Now I'm going to type in REG and scroll down to the region command that you see here. Let's window select right to left, right-click to finish the selection. And let's switch to realistic mode. Now you can see the region a little bit better. Let's go back to 2D wireframe. Activate the Extrude command. Select my region. Right-click to finish the selection. Now we specify the height of the extrusion. Okay, let me place a rectangle about here. Now activate the Extrude command. Select the object to extrude, my rectangle. Right-click, let's go to Mode. And select Surface. And our next click determines the height of the surfaces. Even though we've got a closed profile, we can still extrude surfaces. Let's select and delete this entity. Let's activate the Extrude command again, select my rectangular profile. Right-click and enter to finish the selection. Now instead of left-clicking to set the height, let's right-click and scroll to Direction. We need to select 2 points. Let's snap to here for my first point, and snap here for my second point. And here is my third extrusion. Let's undo that. For my next example, I'm going to need to create a path. I'll use a polyline for that. I'm going to leave Dynamic UCS toggled on, but I'm going to shut Ortho mode off. Let's select this face and this point. Something like this. right-click and enter. And now I've got a path. Let's activate the Extrude command again. Select my rectangular profile, right-click and enter to finish the selection. Now for the height, let's right-click and select Path. I'll choose the path I just created. And here's our extrusion. Let's create another closed profile. Something like this. Activate Extrude. Select the profile. Right-click and enter to finish selection. Now right-click and select Taper Angle. Here we can enter a positive or negative angle value. Let's say 10 degrees, for example. Enter to accept. Now the height of the extrusion, let's enter 3 units. Press enter. Let's create another rectangular profile. Activate the Extrude command and select my profile. Right-click and enter to finish the selection. Now let's right-click and select Expression. Here we can enter a formula, for example, 8/5, and press enter to register. And here's our profile. This concludes our tutorial about the Extrude command.